when you make these grand conflations and they are so obviously wrong, you do harm to the artist. When you don't publish the works of Dan Schneider, whether it's just my poetry, whether it's my books, when my great interviews with whomever it might be, when I do a great interview and about Antonioni or something, and it's only got 800 hits in 6 months online, and yet you can have this crap, mostly crap by this Alain de Botton, get 250,000 hits in its first day online, or even worse, you get these bad wannabe art sites that or philosophy sites, or these things that that'll show two idiots walking into a barn, hear some sound, and say it must be aliens up in the hayloft, and then you see some bad, and 25.2 million hits in 3 months or something. I mean, there is a price that you pay for that, and I'm not apocalyptic or whatnot, but how many young writers like yourself could benefit if they read my stuff? Because you happened, I guess, you stumbled upon Cosmoetica, however you stumbled upon it. But if I have a wider net, and I have, even if I only sold 20 or 30 or 50,000 books at the most for each of my books, or Jess sold the same for her books, that would cast a wider net. It would help those people out there, because these people are being denied the wisdom that the translation of reality, that my art or Jessica's art, great art, can do, in favor of hick, in favor of this.
Diluted too.
And it's diluted, but hold on. But it also has a damaging effect. If you want to know why the cliche of artists being damaged individuals occurs, is that most of them aren't real artists. Most of them are people who are damaged to begin with. But when you have great artists like a Kafka, who knows what Kafka could have done? Maybe he would have moved beyond just his three rote kind of stories, the three great pieces, the one tale of the isolated loner. Had he gotten recognition for those stories, had he gotten praise, had he gotten published, had he been able to live a better life than just a menial clerk, maybe he would have moved beyond. Maybe he would have been as great as those people say that he is, when he really isn't. He did have some great stuff, but he's not this genius. Maybe William Shakespeare, well, he had the low people recognition or whatnot, but maybe if in that era he had gotten more recognition, he would have not had the terrible histories and the terrible comedies that he wrote, and he would have been the Shakespeare commensurate to the praise that he's gotten. Maybe Sylvia Plath, had she been lauded more during her lifetime, would not have settled on a Ted Hughes and on the course that made her kill herself. Maybe all of these poets, the romantic poets or the John Berrymans or whatnot, had they got a little bit more, they would have not only not killed themselves, but they would have grown as artists. I've gone through bad times and whatnot, but I still hew to the art. But it is frustrating. Everyone questions themselves. Did I make the right choice or whatnot? And they shouldn't have to do that if you're a great artist, because the great art should be recognized, because great artists are greater than great scientists. They are not as replaceable as the greatest scientists. No Stephen Hawking, no Albert Einstein is as important, is as irreplaceable as a Dan Schneider or a Herman Melville or a John Cassavetes, even though he only has 3 inarguably great films. A Cassavetes is more important to the human experience than Einstein, because quite frankly, Einstein had maybe 3, 4, 5 great ideas. At the core of these big theories that he had, there's only 3 or 4 great ideas in all that he thought of. And I would say those 3 or 4 great ideas, while they have application in the real world, some do, some don't, you're not going to find out as much about the cosmos, because as you mentioned, Emily Dickinson, we contain the cosmos in our mind. So the ability to get into our mind, to use art helps us understand the cosmos, translates reality, and that's something more than science can do, which can only basically tabulate reality. If you want to use a term, science doesn't define reality or comment on it, tabulates. It says you got this much of that much of that, This is how this works. The gears move, not in a clockwork sense, but in a quantum physical sense. But art gets into the deeper stuff.